Welcome back to STUFFCAST 5. We're joined once again by Tyler Beefheart in Langdon, Ben Jamin Sitton,
Howdy, y'all.
and Luke.
Hello.
Luke Rossi. As guest part 2, possibly have him on again soon. To talk about his last week's recommendation at the end of the episode, being Yellow Submarine. We'll talk. We'll
More on that later.
More on that later. Now, I want to start with an icebreaker. I kind of want to make this a new sort of segment, where we sort of ask like a question just to kind of get you to think, but also have a bit of a fucking laugh with it. So my first question, this is just like a thing, conversation starter. If you were an RPG boss,
okay, say no more.
what would your resistances be, and what would your weaknesses be?
Oh, that's So like.
Want me to say?
In the new God of War game, there's a rage meter, and once you fill it up, you punch people really hard. It basically like the punch mode in Doom.
Alright.
That would be my my strength, and my weakness would just be like children. Not in a noncy way.
Please explain.
Children really annoy me, and I just don't have the time to fucking deal with them.
So they would be seriously damaging if you know a lonely traveller came and a kind stranger
with just a bag full of.
He didn't come with any Reddit gold. He just hit you with a shot.
Yeah, he didn't have any Reddit karma.
If it's just like a wailing child.
But what's your resistance? What are you resistant to if someone tried to attack you? You know, what would you be resistant to? What would do no damage?
I don't know.
See, that's the toughie. That's the hard one.
What am I resistant to?
Look at that.
I don't know, like Tabasco songs. I'm resistant to cringy songs because I just listen to them all the time.
Yeah, to be fair, that's good.
Not saying Tabasco songs are cringy.
Ben or Luke, you wanna answer that?
Biscuit? like that empowers you, Nugget the Biscuit song.
No, it's the Diamond Sword empowers me.
Diamond Sword imbues power inside of Tyler.
Would you say viral song is in your top 5 of empowering Tabasco?
Viral songs OP.
I like the Coldplay knockoff one.
All right. I don't know. Ben or Luke, you wanna go?
It's a tough
I'll do it.
All right, Luke, go first.
I think my weaknesses. I have to say.
Farting.
Time management.
That's an easy shot. Okay, I think probably
Sharting.
Bro,
I'm afraid.
don't.
I can't defend it. It has to be that. Like.
Oh man. So if someone cast like a diarrhea spell on you.
Yeah, if they took a diarrhea dump in my ear,
You'd be
I'd kind
destroyed.
of have to just tremble to my knees. I'd crumble before them. I think going off the theme of empowerment, I think I'd probably have to go off the theme of songs. I'd have to go with Brental Floss songs, exclusively Brental Floss songs.
Sorry, who?
If you're unfamiliar with Brental Floss, he made the infamous Nintendo Bohemian Rhapsody song.
Oh, all right. And well, that was so like a highly fucking.
He basically makes song parodies with video game lyrics slapped on top. You know, like the whole Minecraft song parodies, but just like in a vague sense with just video games in general.
That's funny.
He made Nintendo Bohemian Rhapsody, and
Is this me life?
Is this the?
Is
Or
this
he
the
did
Mario?
love Nintendo. Give it a listen if you haven't already. I highly recommend Nintendo Gaming and Rhapsody by Vernal Floss. Go give it a listen.
I'm glad that's your
I think
song.
I sent it to the chat a few months ago. I think I sent it to the chat a while ago.
What you probably did. You also sent
Swept
Sonic,
under the rug.
Sonic fanfic and Sonic.
Did I?
Yeah, you made. Remember, you made Jack leave. You made Jack fucking leave the group temporarily. Because you sent fucking like fucking a fucking titty Sonic. You made Jack
I don't
leave.
remember
Jack
doing
was
that,
like,
but I probably did.
Jack was like, I ain't being in a fucking group that keeps sending Sonic porn. So, Jack, please.
Here's the thing, I just don't remember doing that because it's just so insignificant.
It's happened on
But
too many
I probably
occasions.
did it at some point. I
Yeah,
probably
you
did that.
You do it so much. You do it so often. It's like, I'd say it's solid. If there's a once a month occurrence in which you will send some explicit image about, like, from a fandom to the chat.
Once a month.
You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. That is the kind of
At least once a month.
thing.
On average, it's like 3.
Yeah.
I haven't done it much this month, but I better fill up my quota before we're
Well,
done.
I
It's
mean,
only a few days
I
left
mean,
of January.
Sent the fetals, if we count that
Oh.
as explicit.
No, let's
No,
not.
that kind of counts. That kind of counts.
Let's not
I'll
get
give you
into
that.
So
Yeah, those are my strengths and my weaknesses.
Oh gosh. Benjamin,
Beatles.
Yes.
step to the plate.
Oh,
It's your time.
I don't think I'd be a boss. I'd be an NPC who wasn't a boss. You know what I mean? I'd say resistances. I'd say salt. I'm not really. I'm quite.
Oh, yeah!
Oh yeah, that's true.
resistant to salt.
Yeah, that would buff you. Salt would buff
Yeah.
you like fuck.
Salt would be a buff, so I'm very good at. I can take on a lot of Reddit and 4chan users because their salt would just fuel me. Weaknesses
Karma.
would definitely have to be people.
Invertebrates, like a snail. Like
Maybe.
Ben
But
is
not
a
salt.
nega snail.
Wait, oh no, because you'd be able to conquer them with your salt power.
I think weaknesses would be people streaming cringe.
Oh
I think
right.
there's just something abhorrent about it because it's not quite a YouTube video. If you're watching a YouTube video
So
of
just
cringe,
live streaming in general. Then.
yeah, well,
Just Twitch.
Yeah, exactly, Twitch. Because if you're watching a YouTube video, you can kind of pause it and take a moment to just breathe in and out the cringe. But like when it's live streaming, it's just like constant embarrassment. You're
Like
just thinking, oh
that
no.
streamer who started fucking shouting because no one subbed to her, and there's loads of people, and she no
Or
one.
my favourite that I saw the other day was the guy who dressed as Joker and he was just going around like at night time, he's like harassing women, and all the women were like, "Bro, go away! I'm gonna call the police." And he was like,
Ben, stop simping, Jesus.
That's not cringy. That's epic and for our society.
No, and then he kept
It's
like
live streaming.
he kept harassing this guy outside a chip shop, and the owners
Yeah,
came
but
out and were like, "Fuck off!"
was he also beatboxing?
No, he weren't beatboxing. He was just being really weird.
Doing like the Vermlex beatbox battles, doing fucking Joker.
No, he was just going up to people and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut you up and shit." It's just like, it's just not pleasant. You're
No,
just...
no, that is entire. That's so wrong. But if he was dressed as a Joker, that makes it really funny.
He was. It was not even a good Joker. It was like a really. It was like the Crow more than the Joker. It was like a really shit
Are
Joker.
you sure this isn't what like Anisha's been up to, like in and out of court? Like, he's
Oh,
just
it's
been-
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so small. He's a tiny man.
How tall is he?
I don't know, but he looks so small because like his bulletproof vest is too big for him.
I'm gonna have a look. Let me see on height.
It's the image of him in his court suit where he's got like, and it's like from behind. You can just see like how big his stab vest
He's
is.
5'10.5", so he's quite small.
Oh shit! He's like a fucking inch taller than I am.
He's quite a small.
Damn it!
Wait, how tall is he?
5'10.5".
Yes! I'm safe.
Mate, he wears a stab vest. Oh my god. He doesn't even live in London, he wears a stab vest.
Where does he live?
Like Florida. Like he lives on
is
like
it
a
Florida,
marsh.
is
He lives. I think it's Florida. I think it's from Florida, but he lives on like this marsh that's like protected. And he started chopping down trees, and he shouldn't have been. And then people like, we're gonna literally arrest you if you chop down more trees. He's like, okay, I won't. And then he just
And then he did, I remember that.
Videos himself chopping the trees down.
Yeah, he's a bit of a spanner, isn't he?
He's horrible. But we're not gonna get into that. National Television Awards this week, guys. Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone watch that?
All right.
I did, unfortunately.
Oh my god, did you actually?
Well, I saw the worst.
joke.
I saw the worst bits. No, proceed. I know what you're gonna say.
I was gonna wait for the silence and then say, yeah, thought not. But
I see.
alas.
I thought your punchline was
The
that
structure of your well-timed joke is ruined.
the winner of best sitcom was none other than our own homegrown talent, Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Oh bloody hell!
and rightfully so, anyone with 5 remaining brain cells took to social media to say it's about as funny as, I don't know, Reddit.
It's about as funny as a senile Irishman playing a woman on a stage.
Yeah, it's depressing. Like,
Yeah, it's just sad.
It's just sad. It's really sad. And he's like, "Oh me tits," and then everyone laughs. And then he just says that over and over again.
What old lady tits, bruh.
It's
funny.
really, really depressing.
Bro, he said fucking Irish, bro. That's crazy.
I don't know. Feck. Feckin'.
Bro, that's nuts. Bro, that's nuts.
I give up. I
He
don't
said
know.
it on TV though.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously though, highlights. I was reading through all the like tabloids about the red carpet, all the people in dress. I didn't give a shit. I'd find my boy though. I'd find my fucking boy because I knew I'd find something cursed in there, and of course, the man, the myth, legend, the beast from The Chase, looking fresh as fuck, velvet jacket.
Oh,
Hell yeah! And without that girl that cheated on him and was just using him for clout. So he's a man now. He's a silent man. He ain't simping. He's going hard. The beast goes hard. You know.
That's good.
It's going. He's a god amongst men. I swear to God. I swear to him. I swear on my fucking actual life that the beast from The Chase is omniscient. He's actually of a higher existence.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No one can be like that without being like something else. You know what I mean?
I see about 5 of them in NRG in where I live, the gym. So, it's
Wait, Ben, you go to gym?
gym bad. It's definitely a breed of Englishman. It's the beast from The Chase. You see him roaming around.
He's fucking awesome. Yeah, but they're not as smart as he is. He knows shit.
They're the people inhabiting Subway and I'm trying to think of what other
Bro,
the works.
what is up with every fucking like fast food chain now just suddenly doing like vegan or meat-free like meat substitute?
Because it increases their ad revenue because vegans come and eat at their stores.
It's fucking nuts. It's so, if you're a vegan and you eat those shits from like McDonald's and stuff, you're not actually a vegan, are you? Because they still sell the meat on the site.
Yeah,
and they're funding a company that does that. So like, if you're actually a vegan, you won't eat there. It's ridiculous. It's just people. I feel like veganism is more of a fucking lifestyle than a principle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were saying, they were like, well, because some people were going, oh great, finally vegan options from McDonald's and blah blah blah, and then a lot of other people, as you say, were saying, well, it defeats the fucking point, doesn't it? Because it's about meat reduction. You don't go shop just because the butcher sells lettuce.
If you're a real lefty nutter, then you'd be like, oh, it's corporate. You'd see through the corporate veil. So
I think a lot of people have. There are some who are like, yay, finally I can fucking eat my vegan Big Mac. But I think a lot of people are
because
I can't imagine me that
they're measured and slightly below average intelligence.
Yeah,
however,
it's just
people who are like who see through a corporate veil think that there are so many people who see that and they're like fucking, they think they're a fucking genius. They're like, you don't see it how I see it. It's like, no, actually, a lot of people do. You know, don't act like you're fucking some kind of Reddit genius. Because you're like, I'm aware that companies advertise to me and I should do everything. So well done. You know what I mean? Alright.
I just can't believe that it'd still be like a healthy substitute anyway. I mean, like.
Oh yeah, it's like in McDonald's.
It's more or less the same,
Yeah, McDonald's they're still fried, I think. So.
Alright.
They're like fried vegetable dippers or some bullshit. It's like, bro, just eat chicken. Just eat fucking meat. It's not.
Give up and eat chicken, you stupid fucking idiot.
Just everyone stop being so like wet. Just eat it. Chicken goes ridiculously fucking. It's strong. I ate a Gordon Ramsay for like my dad's Christmas present, and I came out thinking I'd rather had a Nando's. Because I would. I mean, speaking of Nando's, I was doing some functional maths today. I was doing some functional maths today, accompanied by my friend Tyler, obviously, and Harris.
Fuck.
And I'm just here. I get on a question. It's like
I think I see where this is going.
Add up the total of the restaurant bill, because that's literally the level of maths it is, and the restaurant is not Nando's. It's Mando's. Oh, and I actually took a photo of it because it's so fucking funny.
That's funny.
I'm so happy. Okay, next thing, China box office regarding the coronavirus is forecast to lose over, at minimum, 1 billion. That's how big. That's because of the coronavirus. Like all cinemas are just shutting down, basically at the moment, because obviously you're getting people just to be in very close proximity with each other.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it though?
Oh, this ain't looking so good.
They don't want to spend the.
Oh, jeez, maybe we shouldn't have catered to China.
Yeah, the forecast, the loss forecast is minimum $1 billion.
Oh, that's not good.
For China alone, so that's crazy.
Well, DC's fine.
DC.
And Star Wars.
Yeah, DC and Star Wars are fine.
Because no one sees it there anyway.
DC might start catching up to Marvel.
Speaking of, who's excited for the Eternals? The saga. I can't even remember what the fucking thing is.
Joe, you asking that question on STUFFCAST is the most. You might as well have been rhetorical. Genuinely.
The saga of the Eternals. A tale of ancient beings that shaped mankind. I don't know. I can't remember what it was.
Who's excited? Who's excited for Birds of Prey?
Who's excited for Black Widow in July?
Oh, that doesn't look Black Widow. That film looked like a fucking fan trailer. Like, I actually thought it was a fan trailer.
I haven't actually watched it because I saw it and I was like, I don't care.
Don't watch it, Ben. Honestly, literally, there is shit that is that dumb in that trailer. Like Marvel's done.
Well, nah, they got a few more in them, I reckon. They're on there.
Yeah, no, they're still gonna make money, but in terms of like, they'll never reach the heights that they did.
Wait.
Not
You
this
mean to tell me you don't appreciate the Marvel kinos like I do?
No, I didn't say
You mean
that.
to tell me? Joe Walden.
This is pretty
First off,
serious, Joe.
I'm not sure if I can befriend you anymore.
Nah.
If I'm honest,
Your kino
Yeah, bro,
line is
I'm not even gonna go to like my Bournemouth Arts interview on Friday because if I'll just turn up and I'll be like, yeah, I don't like Marvel. They'll be like, get out, get the fuck out.
just go in and say like, you know, Age of Ultron has got the best writing out of any Avengers movie, and Captain America has the best suit in it.
Yeah, but it does.
R movie fact, r/movie fact, Black Widow trailer is looking really good.
The classic one I hear is the you might not like Marvel, yeah, I get that, but Captain America: Winter Soldier, it's pretty lit, pretty kino.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best spy movie ever.
It's one of the better ones.
Yeah, but it's still shit.
It's tolerable. It's like you watch it and you're just kind of like, okay, things are moving.
There are a couple of scenes in it that are like, well, genuinely well written.
Yeah, Marvel apologists, sure.
No.
Yeah,
come
on.
Yeah,
They've
fuck
heard it
it,
all
whatever,
before.
Joe. How much is Disney
whatever.
paying you? Go on, mate.
Yeah, go on.
It's a solid 6 out of 10.
Jog on.
Fuck off, mate. It's not 6. What are you on? You rated it. You rated it
It's-
You gave it half a star.
That's the joke. That's the fucking joke on my letterbox. Every Marvel film and DC film is rated half star, apart from Batman v Superman because it's 5 star.
Obviously.
But it is good. It's got Turkish Airlines.
Alright, yeah, to be fair, it needed a bit more Turkish Airlines. When Robert Pattinson is, succeeding in all of Batman, I do absolutely expect more Turkish Airlines. Otherwise, I am definitely gonna not watch that.
Why specifically with Robert Pattinson? He's not Turkish.
Because it's Batman again.
I'm excited.
Yeah, but verbalize.
This is why the Nolan Batman films are all complete. They're complete half-star films because they don't have Turkish Airlines.
I'm really excited for the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
I actually want to see it.
It's inevitable. I want to see it. That wasn't sarcasm. I'm so excited. I'm so hyped. I hope Criterion do a Blu-ray release of the Snyder Cut. I mean, it's going to be longer than a Bella Tar movie. It's going to be 5 hours plus because Zack Snyder has no concept of time. How long is the director's cut of Batman vs Superman? It's 3 hours, isn't it?
It's like 3 hours 30.
You could watch Lord of the Rings in that.
I have watched the director's cut. It's on
Same.
You poor child.
It's so funny.
Do
Like
fun fact?
Jesse Eisenberg single-handedly ruined his career further than Zombieland did.
Oh, Zombieland's so shit.
It is kind of a bump in the road, didn't he, when he did that?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a little bit of a.
The only thing that I like him in is The Social Network because it's an impeccable film and he suits the role because he's a tosser.
Do you want to know a fun fact?
Sorry, that was the deafening silence of my career prospects.
Yeah, there goes your career.
Jesse Eisenberg he owns Kino.
Do
Who remembers fucking Zombieland Double Tap? That came out. Yeah, it did. It actually
People enjoyed it. The people who spoke to saw it. They were like,
I didn't notice it came out until I heard that it was like going away.
Yeah, it was weak marketing, wasn't it?
Guess what comes out on Friday, and we need to go and see it immediately in Norwich as soon as fucking
The
possible.
Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse. We need to organise Kino trip, but that's another thing to
That's
do.
not the most important thing that comes out this Friday.
Of course, BoJack.
BoJack season 6 part 2, obviously.
That's also going to be great.
My life ends.
Under the bus when I say this, I have not watched BoJack ever.
Neither
Dude,
have I.
Fuck off.
I have.
It's actually good.
The pair of you, fuck off.
I really want to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
My favourite's the second season. It's my favourite one.
After rewatching it, I'm quite a big fan of the third one now.
The third one is funny.
Yeah, but Joe, what's your favourite Walking Dead season?
5.5.
None of them. I mean season 40.
Excellent. That's my favourite too. I'm quite
It really
partial
gets
to
better after
36.
the first thing.
Yeah, it hits season 24, and I started going, I think it's getting a little tiresome now.
That's when it
Gal
really started.
Gadot. Gal Gadot.
Is it Gal Gadot or is it Gadot?
I literally
It's good though.
do not. Gal Gadot. I'm British, alright? I say Gadot.
Debatable.
Fun fact about her, she can't act.
Gal Gadot. She's confirmed to be one of the sort of more appearing hosts of this year's Oscars, obviously because there is no host for the Oscars this year. Because the Oscars be like, oh yeah, we don't want it to be funny, and awkward and horrible.
Well, considering how awkward and horrible the last 5 years have been, I welcome no host because they only pick cringe.
No, but I like that.
Anyway.
It's really,
But Jimmy Kimmel's really funny. He's got his own TV show.
I like it when they tell shit jokes. They're fucking. It's just so funny.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I'm not sure my system can take any more cringe.
I just want more Riz Ahmed moments. I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago.
That was the BAFTAs, wasn't it?
No, that was Oscars.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Oscars. It's the big effective of the
I just
It all just blurs into one. when you watched it as many years in a row as I have, it's just one.
BAFTAs are sophisticated.
I just want some more Aziz Ansari moments. I want him to be allegedly sexually misconducting with women. I want him to be hench. I want him to be eternal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Gal Gadot. You know.
It's pronounced Gahalidalbidi.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Get it right.
Oh, right. Of course. Of course. What I said wasn't
I don't
fine.
know why they choose her to host. I get she's Wonder Woman, but you fucking. I'm sorry, you can't understand what she's.
Host what? What's she hosting?
Well, she's doing she's been confirmed to be like one of the more frequently appearing people doing the Oscars.
Oh yeah, but they will
have other people. I know you can't understand. She doesn't speak properly. I'm sorry.
I think you're exaggerating, Joe.
No,
perfectly understandable.
No,
You're just being problematic.
Okay, but just because you want to sleep with her, Ben.
No, I don't
yeah,
really.
Ben's simping again. God
Oh man, you guys caught me again.
She'd be like, and the Oscar got to,
I'm detecting career endangering material here. Let's move on.
In your head,
Let's just hope this podcast does not go anywhere.
in your head, does she sound like Guillermo del
let's get rid
Toro?
of this.
the Oscar got to Chappie, yes. Good feeling.
What's
Mr. Blumkamp has got a lot to answer for.
He's a solid filmmaker.
He made Chappie though.
Yeah. Well, Chappie's a bump in the road.
He needs to boss up. I'm not gonna lie. It's now or never.
He's only made 3 films.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I mean. And one of them's good, so he needs to boss up.
I believe he is working on a new film though. He makes a lot of short films.
He does. His short films are actually good. So.
Yeah, the short films are excellent. Let me have a look actually. I want to see if he's got anything up.
Speaking of shorts, segue quickly.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Has anyone else seen the David Lynch short on Netflix?
No.
Yes.
Oh my God!
No. I saw it on there. I haven't seen it yet. Though.
I watched it yesterday. It's a top tier shit post. It's so fucking insane. Amazingly, it doesn't feel its runtime at all because I think the runtime's like 17 minutes. It feels like a 5-minute.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's weird how fast it goes by. It is the most awkward thing ever, and it's done. It's weird how it's literally like 2 or 3 angles, and
I love David Lynch so much.
It holds your attention weirdly well. It's completely fucking. It's so funny.
I think maybe my next recommendation when it comes around to me again, I might put like Mulholland Drive or something because it's just worth it. His movies are so batshit. I love them to pieces.
I'm really loving that short film. That's the first David Lynch film I've seen. Like,
it's not bad. Not a bad jumping point actually. His shorts are in short doses.
It's the talking monkey basically. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's very
insane.
Kino, that's what it is.
It's just insane. Yes.
Netflix's next business move, which it must happen, is to give David Lynch $100 million to make whatever he wants for Netflix. That is the inevitable progression.
Netflix are moving quite quickly along the chessboard that is Hollywood. They are looking to purchase James Bond.
Really?
Are they actually?
Yeah.
What, from Warner Brothers?
They could be purchasing from MGM. They could be buying.
Oh, is it MGM?
Yeah, they could be buying James Bond, which is insane. I think it'd be really interesting if they did, because they obviously bring in some of the best directors in the fucking Scorsese, Alfonso Cuarón, to name a few recently that have been on the Oscar circuit in the last 2 to 3 years. Like, I think it's in what they could bring in the Nolans and as soon as like Nolan does like a Netflix film, then let's be fucking fair, the film industry is just gonna it's such a disruptor. It's insane. And
they'll be hard to win over, I think. I reckon they will buckle, but they are very purist. Part of their attitude to cinema actually does stem from the idea of going to a theatre and watching it. So. Because that's why Nolan shoots a lot in IMAX and stuff, is because he really cares about that theatre experience and stuff. It's the same with anyone who shoots on film, really. People like Paul Thomas Anderson and stuff like that.
Well, Paul Thomas Anderson short film with Tom York for Alan.
Yeah, he did that on Netflix, but I think that's
really good.
Probably a bit more Tom York because he said, "Oh, I've got the album. I want to put it on Netflix so people can see it." Because I mean, he's released an album for free.
Again, Tom York being the strange visionary oracle that he is. I mean, it doesn't take a Tom York to see that Netflix is the way forward.
Yeah, no, he's a smart boy.
I think filmmakers need to start thinking differently. To be honest, because I would like to see films in the cinema. But every time I go, there's some fucking tosser in there that fucking ruins it. Just being an idiot, or just like making noise. Popcorn that you shouldn't be allowed to eat popcorn inside a cinema.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's insane how badly it fucking ruins it. Like this fucking bitch next to me when I was watching fucking 1917. Like some bits, like just like it's like almost quiet, and then I just hear like fucking like Minecraft fucking eating sounds. It pissed me off so much. I was like, are you fucking serious? How can you be watching 1917? A film where the ground is made from the bodies of dead people in the middle of one of those terrifying situations that a human could be put in. You are just chowing down. You're literally munching. It's insane. I don't understand how anyone has the audacity to fucking eat in a cinema. It's disgusting, and it fucking ruins it. It really does my head.
I think if they're quiet, it's fine. But like,
if it's like a fucking Avengers or whatever, like if it's a popcorn movie, go for it, right? I don't give a shit. Like you're watching Jumanji, right?
Don't go to watch that in cinema.
Fucking if you're watching Welcome to Jumanji, if you're walking, it munch away, But if you're watching like legitimately fucking carefully produced, clever, cinema, serious films. Even if they're not serious, it's just films that are actually engaging, films that aren't built to be just like a whatever thing. The films that are built with purpose. Don't fucking eat. Do not fucking eat your shit. Like fucking hell. Oh my god, it really does my head in. I mean, yeah.
What's this?
Sorry. That was my hashtag woke moment. Hashtag. Clip that. Put it on Twitter. And be like.
Unpopular
opinion. I don't like people who eat in cinema. And then I just get hounded by a bunch of people on Twitter being like, I bet you voted to leave. Yeah, and then that kind of shit. But yeah, I've been keeping my eye on developing the scene of horror. Obviously, we've had some great ones like Us, Midsummer, Hereditary, Witch, and now The Lighthouse coming out, and this one could be a hit or miss. Again, it's horror. No, this film I found out about. It's called Possessor, and it's being directed by a woman. So simps out for that one. Can we have 3 claps for a woman director? Well done.
Woo!
I'm surprised I'm surprised a woman was able to make a studio-backed horror. Is it independent or studio-backed?
I'm not certain.
Again, horror struggles to get funding anyway.
Oh, it's about time.
With woman director.
Woman finally has to rise up. It's about time.
Horror struggles to be funded, even though it's the most financially viable genre.
What's it called? Possessor?
Possessor.
It's directed by Brandon Cronenberg.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yeah, he's David Cronenberg's son.
Well, what the fuck's this article talking about then?
It's probably... Is it written by...
I don't fucking know. I don't give a shit. Okay, well, no, it's not being directed by women, so revoke the sins.
Yeah.
So now we
that's
can watch
kind
it.
To be fair though, Brandon Cronenberg is David Cronenberg's son. That'd be quite epic to see if he's got any of his dad's gifts and stuff.
Yeah, so basically, let's take a step back. It's a really interesting concept. Basically, the main character is this like woman. She's an assassin, but she is able to upload her mind and consciousness to other people in order to make them carry out the assassination, which is fucking crazy. But it could fall through.
Isn't that just Transcendence with Johnny Depp?
Yeah, but Transcendence.
But that movie sucks. Yeah.
That movie sucks balls.
It's a shame as well.
And it's just interesting to me because this is something I've been exploring recently with what I've been writing and researching about sort of my recent shorts, and also kind of just looking at eras of cinema, particularly just looking at Metropolis a lot recently in terms of seeing how I can take influence from that in my sort of my future projects for the first half of this sort of year.
Yeah, it's an excellent.
It's the whole idea of like the human consciousness and where that can go and how things would react if you could ever transfer like a soul or something to another body. That kind of shit is kind of insane, and I really like sort of how that could be explored. And if this is like pulled off properly, it could be super cool because it's like a horror thriller, so it'll be more like Get Out, really. I guess. Even though I guess it's being hyped up in the press as a horror film because people like hearing about horror film, But it'll turn more at like Get Out. So
it's an exciting year because I don't think Asta's doing a horror next. I think he said he either wanted to do like a zany horror, kind of like late George Romero stuff, or a big melodrama. So he may or may not do something horror related next. And then Eggers obviously has Nosferatu somewhere in the pipeline, but I think his next project is that northern thriller drama, like Scandinavian medieval drama. So it'll be interesting to see what we get in the next few years for horror, because we've had an amazing last few years.
Brilliant. Well, I don't know if anyone else has any subjects to bring up. Tyler, Luke, Ben?
Not at the moment.
Relating to horror, actually, there's a new version of The Thing in the works.
Really?
Yes, they're making a new version of The Thing, and this was interesting, actually, because I was reading this. The reason they're making another one is in 2018, they uncovered the never-before-published novel from the author of the novella Who Goes There, which is the basis of The Thing. Obviously. Campbell, John W. Campbell, and they uncovered the full novel that had never been published, called Frozen Hell. And Who Goes There was an excerpt from Frozen Hell, or it was tied into it.
Right.
So they just found the full thing, and I forget who. A company has bought the right. Blumhouse, I believe, bought the rights. So they're now going to try and make a version that has, you know, the good things about the 50s version, the good things about the 80s version, plus the stuff from the books that's never really been covered. So it'd be very interesting to see who they put in charge. They're currently writing the screenplay, but again, it all depends on which director they give it to. I mean, it could be someone like Astor, it could be Jordan Peele, or maybe someone else. So, you know, I don't know who's the woman who did the Babadook. I forget. She's
yeah. Oh fuck yeah, she's good.
Yeah, she's been on that. Hang on. I knew it was Jennifer something. Jennifer Kent. So,
I really like the Babadook. I think it's people underrate it, or they find it a bit goofy at points. But like,
apparently her new film, The Nightingale, is also excellent. So it's good.
I mean, Blumhouse buying the rights, that's risky. Obviously.
I think he's smart enough to know which projects to put
he's
artistic people on, and then which projects are schlock. Yeah.
He's a fucking smart fucking guy. Like, obviously, he's not. To be fair, Blumhouse, he's not like a guy who's just gonna like mug off people that he knows what films he wants to do properly. He knows film basically. People
he does.
Write him off as being like just a businessman. He's a great businessman. Like anyone looking to produce low budget films for the highest profit margin.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think he'll fuck with the Thing. He knows. He's a smart boy.
Blumhouse produced Whiplash.
Yeah, well, he produced Get Out. He produced Us.
You know, it's crazy. It's.
Was it? Am I punching here? Didn't he do It Follows? Did he do It Follows?
No, it was A24.
Was that A24? Was it? Let me have a look. I'm going to see what else he's been up to, Mr.
Yeah, I think it was A24.
Yeah, they did Get Out.
He did Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, Ma, obviously, with Octavia Spencer.
Tooth Fairy starring The Rock.
He did Split, Glass, The New Halloween, Happy Death Day.
Oh dear.
So we can confirm he's not very good.
No, he produced Black Klansman as well.
Okay, but did you not also hear all the other things that you just said?
Yeah, he's a moneymaker. It's fair enough.
House is a moneymaker. This man's easy.
Did those films actually make money though? Is the thing?
Yeah, because they cost a fiver to make.
They cost fucking nothing to make. Yeah, he'll set films with like 30 to 50 mil budgets, and they'll make back like they'll triple it at least.
Yeah, but what about the advertising and stuff?
He invests in that as well.
Because surely that factors into it.
You put a horror movie in the cinema, and as long as it goes boo, and it's relatively simple, people are going to go watch that shit. Like, they don't care. People will just watch anything.
That's true. Like us, for example.
Truth or Dare, for example, one of his more recent endeavours was universally panned, yeah? And this is my point. It had a budget of $3.5 million, and it made, wait for it, $95 million. Truth or Dare.
Kidding me?
The universally bombed and clowned Truth or Dare made almost
garbage.
Let's not forget, Paranormal Activity had a 15 grand budget and it made 193.4 million.
Again, Blair Witch, 60 grand budget. For the time, almost 100 million for inflation, a lot more, adjusted back in '99. So
it's insane. I think honestly, the Paranormal Activity is an absolute benchmark in what horror's become in terms of like
definitely
moneymaker. 15 grand to 200 mil.
Yeah, it's an insane conversion.
That's complete hacks.
That's why I think Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity were it's the grandfather and father of a lot of modern horror influences.
It's caused a lot of fucking problems, but equally that he's given us enough good films to not be completely horrible.
Yeah, Blair Witch founded that kind of found footage horror, and then Paranormal Activity took it, dialed it down even more.
But then they got the whole demon seance thing going, which then reached out into sinister. And
I think we're evolving out of that though. We're evolving out of that.
We definitely are. Yeah, people are sick of that shit.
People are looking more to horror.
Annabelle films are still fucking being made though. So
I finally got around to watching Midsommar.
Yeah,
it's so keen. Oh my God, it's fantastic. I think a lot of the problems you had of Hereditary,
it's really
work in this film because it's like black comedy as well as horrific. Whereas Hereditary's more straight, obviously. But Midsummer is intentionally goof, and it is so excellent. It's so
Paranormal Activity 7 is coming out 2021, so let's revoke everything. People haven't got sick of that, obviously.
Yeah, no. Well, it's not the norm anymore. It's just kind of like a cult.
It's not the norm.
Like, they've stopped making flipping Saw movies. The last one was like a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Jigsaw, I believe, 2016, was it?
Yeah, I think it's 2017.
Yeah. They tried to reboot,
17.
and it didn't really work.
Around that time.
Yeah. Horror's in good hands, it seems.
I think so. I think there's definitely a new wave of horror coming. It's sort of starting off.
We're in it now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think there needs to be one or two more, like... There needs to be... I think that another director needs to join the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the moment all we've got is Ari Aster.
Aster, Peel, Kent on the low key.
Robert Eggers.
Yeah, Eggers as well, the boy.
Edgar Wright's horror film comes out this year, guys.
Could be it.
Well, if Edgar Wright starts making horror kino, I will genuinely laugh. Like,
who directed hang on, no, it's on the what's his face? Hang on. Sorry, I'm on my own little planet here. Who directed Under the Skin? Oh, his name's in there somewhere, but I can't. I think he's making a new film. I heard rumors. Hang on.
Well, that's good.
I think
Jonathan Glazer. That's it. Jonathan Glazer. He's made. I believe I read the other day he's got a new project in the works, which is very exciting. But then again, it might get stuck in development hell because Oh wait, no, there is one for 2020. That's very good.
Shall we move on for Yellow Submarine?
Sure, let's do it.
Are we ready to face it? Unless you got something to say, Luke. You want to do a little.
Yeah, Luke, if you want to introduce the film as it was your suggestion.
Oh boy, Yellow Submarine. Where do I start with this one?
Good introduction, Luke. So what did everyone think?
Give me a fucking chance!
It was just a joke. It was just a joke.
Oh my god!
It was just a joke. I'm sorry. It was just a joke. I'm sorry. It was just a joke. I'm really sorry.
One of these days, I'm just gonna walk out that door, leave Stuff Films HQ, never come back.
Things
films.
So the Yellow Submarine is a movie that was made or released in 1968, and it's featuring our favorite music rock band, the Beatles, from the decade. The 1960s, okay? So this is the Beatles in their entirety. Pure, simple, good Beatle fun, okay?
Yeah.
I am so confused by this film.
I think that's the point. Do you know, if you understand this,
I get
you're
it.
lying.
You sounded so defeated.
I don't care.
I'll be honest, I started watching this film 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
I've had some time to think about it, and I still just don't get it. I get this was my suggestion, but this was the first time I've actually watched the film.
Yeah.
I've seen bits here and there, but no.
Shall we?
No, that's okay.
It's probably a good idea to jump into this with saying who here is like a Beatles fan and who is not too fond. I think because that definitely has an impact on the way you view the film. Because let's be honest, it's a glorified music video.
Absolutely.
With some creative streaks in there. I don't know about yourself, Luke, because you recommended it, but I'm a massive Beatles fan. Yourself, Luke, would you say you're a Beatles fan?
I'm more of a casual Beatles fan.
Yeah.
I grew up with the music here and there, but I never it's like, oh yeah, let's put on the Beatles and really jam out to their tunes.
Yeah.
It's like more of a healthy dose every once in a while. It's like,
yeah,
I think I'll put them on, just for kicks. But I never really, I haven't listened to all their songs. I haven't seen any of their movies. This is their first movie I've actually seen.
Oh really? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good introduction point.
They made more movies.
Well, you've got A Hard Day's Night, which is obviously probably the first proper music movie ever really made. Changed the game. And then you've got Help, which is not as good, but it's okay. And then Yellow Submarine obviously is their weirdest effort. And I think there's another one, but I haven't seen it. I can't remember its name either. So yeah, those are the big boys.
It was this movie, but it was clear that it was crafted around the songs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
The
whole
songs are obviously written first, but like, oh, now we're in the nothing dimension. Here's the nothing nowhere band song. You know, it's just
There's
like,
a
play
whole-
this right now.
There's a whole smorgasbord. I do admire there are quite a few new pieces of music written especially for the film, but there is really a whole sort of plethora of Beatles stuff. You got stuff from Rubber Soul on there, you got stuff from Revolver, and there's a bit of Sgt. Pepper's in there. So you're looking stuff released a good 2-3 years before the film. So it's kind of a, you know, to a lot of people who at the time who had heard those songs over and over again, it would be quite familiar. But there are a few new songs in there as well, new additions. Hey Bulldog and
Absolutely.
you know, Sea of Time and stuff like that. So it's a film. It's a film that exists.
It's a film. Beatles wise for me, I'm not like I don't dislike them, but I don't listen to them at all really. So
Yeah.
you know. But to be fair, this film
Fair
did
enough.
teach me how listenable their music is in terms of like it's not like inaccessible.
Oh, definitely no. It's
Actually,
so
New
inaccessible.
appreciation
I,
for real
I,
music
I
after watching
struggle
this.
with music that's like goes beyond 1990. Like I, you know, like, anything before the 90s, like I find I do struggle to listen to it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So you know, it's nice to kind of
Yeah.
be aware that. I mean, I guess that's why they were so influential, is because their songs hold up.
Yeah, they're timeless in my opinion.
Insanely
Absolutely.
well.
There's no
There's-
doubt about it. They are.
There's a strong.
The quality of the recordings as well is like
Yeah.
weirdly good.
Well, they were one of the first bands to pioneer, you know, track mixing and stuff like that, like on a proper scale and with all the instruments and experimentation and stuff. There is definitely, for me personally, there's a strong argument. I could strongly argue that either something like Abbey Road or Sgt. Pepper's was probably my favourite album ever, or at least definitely in the top three or five. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is insanely
Plus that as well,
listenable
but-
music.
I believe they restore the songs every few years as well. So
Yeah, well, the Abbey Road 50th anniversary literally just came out, and they
Yeah,
remastered
actually,
there you go.
with that, the Amazon Prime launched like a high quality version of their music streaming service. You can stream
Yeah.
it in really, really high, like,
Yeah.
I think, is it sample rates or bit rates, Tyler? I don't know. What's,
For what?
like for like high quality audio?
High quality?
Yeah,
I wanna say sample rate.
cool.
There
you
you go.
Beatles, you Beatles fan?
Me?
yeah, you.
Well, fucking, I don't know. I haven't had much chance to say anything. Not really.
Now's your chance, big boy.
I wasn't really. And then, like Joe said, this film sort of teaches you to like it. Or, like, not teaches you to like it, but, like, it is listenable.
Yeah.
And in a way,
You gained. I felt I gained a better understanding and more of
Yeah.
an appreciation for these
Yeah.
songs after watching the film.
like, to me, I now sort of see what people see when they listen to their music. Because
Yeah.
of the visuals that were in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just what the fuck was going on?
It's so because I think a lot of people when they think the Beatles or they hear the Beatles they think, oh yeah, twist and shout, like all that generic like 60s pop stuff. But
That's
in
the
their
only stuff that I've ever heard.
yeah, exactly. But in their later career, like the
grandparents.
Sgt. Pepper's Abbey Road and stuff, they changed the game for all artists. Like music was no longer the same when that stuff came out. So it's so, as you say, it gives you a real perspective. Yellow Submarine coming really late in their careers to just see how kind of experimental they got towards the end. I mean, that was the Beatles, the biggest band in the world, dropped that in a theatre and people went to see it and went, yeah, this is good. Like nowadays, people be like, what is this garbage? So
It's crazy because like they go to the fucking nightmare realm, and it is something right out of a nightmare because it's like the monsters are just like fucking bananas.
The fucking
They're
the whole
scary.
thing. Like, there was not a moment in that film where I wasn't upset by what I was looking at. Like, it's so disturbing.
But
It's a wonderful
But it's so
film.
funny. It's really funny.
You know,
It is really funny.
The sense of humour is insane.
I like
It's so good.
where
It's just brilliant because it's
I feel like if you paused it at any point, you'd probably just like that image would probably stick in your head for like
Yeah.
a really
Yeah,
long time.
every frame's got shit. Isn't
yeah,
it?
it's a fantastic reflection of the humour the Beatles had as well, because the Beatles had a wonderful sense of humour, and it really captures that. Although I would say I think every 5th or 10th line is a reference to a Beatles lyric, and it does become really distracting
I
after a
didn't
while.
notice at all.
I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
it's just because, but it's a nice tongue in cheek. But there is a lot of really good humour in this as well. It's very
Sorry,
fun.
I was just going to talk about a moment about the humour about.
Go for it. Go for it.
Oh,
for
it was
yeah.
Where they're looking for the other Beatle members in the weird house,
Yeah, this is a bit nice.
And then George Harrison
Yeah.
drives past in the car, and he's like, "No, it's my car," and he drives back in a different coloured car.
Yeah, that's a bit of a... He's like, it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a hard flex.
No, I think the bit just before that is also equally as funny. Like he's like it's got like the fucking actual like footage of the sky, and he's just like perched on top of this fucking pyramid with like sitars and shit.
Yeah, that's his character
He's
introduction.
behind them right after.
I like how John is wakes up as Frankenstein and just turns into John Lennon.
No,
That
he's
is
like,
also
I wouldn't pull that lever if I were. He's like,
oh yeah, I'm a lever puller.
I'm a professional lever puller.
I'm a born
No,
lever puller.
yeah, but I was a natural born lever puller.
It's like
Brilliant.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of
The
great
Beatles
wits.
get really philosophical in a lot of the moments. They're like, what is up and down? It's in your mind. And it's like, they have a lot of that kind of like, fake philosophical bullshit constantly throughout.
That's what the Beatles were at the end there. I mean, Sgt. Pepper's is one of the most, at least in terms of pop music, one of the most philosophical albums ever released for pop music. I mean, you've got songs like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which obviously an anagram, LSD. I mean, you've got to be thick to not see that. And then...
Do you like to eat orange? I like mine with banana.
You got Strawberry Fields, which is from Magical Mystery Tour. You know, Strawberry Fields, nothing is real.
fields forever.
Living is easy with eyes closed. You know, so yeah, they went towards the end. They got very, very philosophical. Within Without
absolutely.
You by George Harrison.
It's like,
yeah,
it's the Beatles seem very calm in just about every single scene. It's like they could lose. They lost the Yellow Submarine at one point. Like, oh, we're stranded in the minefield.
Yeah, no, they never panic at all.
They just seem very calm. They're upset, but they're not angry.
I like when they're aging really quickly, and he's like, how do we stop the clock? They're just so chill.
The fucking aging scene is so cursed.
It's funny.
Because there's a really horrible bit where I think it is George Harrison again. It says, well, it's a horrible line. I can hear my beard growing.
Yeah.
That's such a horrible concept.
I'm just looking at my notes. I'm looking at my notes for this film. And I've got notes for the George Harrison in the car. It just says fart car. Because the car makes fart noises.
It
That's
does.
the only noise the car makes.
The most important thing to take away from that bit was detectives.
Also, can we just talk about how brilliant the villain in this film is?
Oh, the Blue Meanie.
The Blue Meanie leader is the most demented thing I think I've ever seen in any film ever.
It borders on like being like a racial caricature that makes me really uncomfortable. It's not
I
quite there.
didn't see the racist caricature. what are you seeing?
What the fuck, Joe?
Yeah, Joe, you kind of went there.
I don't know.
You made it about race.
It's from that era.
Not my problem.
You know,
I think. What was
they got massive red lips and shit. It's like,
Jeffrey?
Oh,
was
right.
Teeth and red lips.
Excellent character as well, spouting lots of philosophical paradoxes and conundrums. The nowhere man himself.
the Nowhere Man's a spud.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Which is really funny. I love him.
The excellent piece of animation where they go into rotoscope and we're using paint for Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
That's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds bit. That's
Excellent sequence.
The rotoscope in there is great.
Another.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of.
It's nice to notice the shift in the animation and it not be like jarring over, but like
Yeah,
it's
no,
very
it
cool.
worked really well.
It's because the entire film was just like an assault on the eyes.
Yeah. The Eleanor Rigby segment as well is fantastic. I think it's the one moment in the film where it's no longer like a funny kind of goofy. It's probably the most.
I don't know who
moment.
she is, so I wasn't.
No, I mean,
I was
the
still laughing my ass off.
The song Eleanor Rigby, it comes when they first introduce Britain. Like you first see those scenes of Britain and stuff, and there's like
Oh right, yeah.
the cat
yeah,
stuff. That's
yeah.
probably the one because it's one of my favourite Beatles songs. It's the one somber moment in the film, and then it goes back to the crazy chaos and stuff. So, I was a big fan of that whole sequence as well. I think there's a lot of fantastic symbolic animation there and stuff. It's really, really quality stuff.
Big. That's like an OC, isn't it?
For context, Luke has posted a picture of an OC drawing of
The meaning.
of a Blue Meanie.
Blue
A
Meanie.
Blue Meanie.
I
It's not Blue Meanie Leader, it's just a Blue Meanie.
I,
Yeah,
pres-
'cause
I
the Blue
presume they're
Meanie
called
has-
dual.
The
got-
Blue Meanie leader has
Yeah.
long ears.
Yeah, he's
and
got
all
bunny
humans
ears.
have round ears. Yeah.
I'm gonna read the the file description of this, it says Slenderman Blue Meanies drawing Yellow Submarine PNG. Okay. I don't know why they put Slenderman in the image description.
Metadata. It's just like if it's on DeviantArt, they'll. Oh my god, the chair. It's creaking.
In EOC doesn't actually look or resemble Slenderman.
There's one thing wrong with this movie, and it's that the Beatles do not voice their characters. That is the only thing wrong.
I was gonna
with
say
this
that, yeah.
entire movie.
Yes, they do.
And it's
No,
yeah.
they don't. They sing, but the voices are voice actors.
Oh, really?
They're not
The
human.
Ringo impression at times is spot on because I just thought it was. Like
Yeah, Ringo's the best. Paul's
Paul's
a solid second for impression. George Harrison they didn't even try, and then the John one, pretty average.
Paul
John
McCartney,
impression.
like the character design for Paul McCartney actually upsets me in how
Yeah.
horrible.
He's got a tiny face.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? Oh.
Yeah, it's an unusual face.
But it's accurate.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
it
accurate.
is. Yeah.
Ringo's got those
Because
bloodshot
Paul
like
McCartney's
sunken
a
eyes.
fucking weasel. Paul McCartney's he's a madman.
I love the incorporation of like, because Sgt. Pepper's is a concept album, it tells a story and such. You know, the incorporation of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band into the narrative and stuff. It's a nice homage to all their music.
So
It's
if they're called
nice.
like the Lonely Hearts Band, is that like the first iteration of like sad boy like movement music? Like
It might just be, except they wore fluorescent military uniforms in real life as well as this film, which is a hard box. So I can maybe it was.
I'm recalling just back to the house scene again. Just the line of just the line of dialogue when George Harrison is on top of that thing. George, what are you doing up there? You can never quite deliver it as funnily as they do in the film.
I like when he comes to the door and he's like, "What's up or down?" It's just so funny. It's just a funny film. The animation is delightful. I've never been so entertained by just nothing. Like, it is a nothing film. There are several scenes where nothing happens, but the animation is so delightfully creative. I mean, Terry Gilliam himself cited it as an influence for his
Oh, 100%. You can see it.
Yeah, you could see it. And stuff like Fantastic Planet as well, the French animated film for a few years later. You can definitely see like the influence this film had on just how batshit it is in its animation. It's incredible.
Was the animation headed by Ringo Starr? Am I right in thinking that?
The animation headed by him.
Yeah.
I think they all had input, but the director is George Dennings, I think it is, and he was a surrealist short animator, like director. So it's kind of a creative mind mixing. Like the Beatles had a lot of input, and then he had some input, and then they got some writers there as well.
That makes sense.
But it's funny though. It's funny though, because like even though the Beatles supposedly had quite a bit of input in this, and they even appeared right at the end.
Yeah, they're at the end. They
didn't voice themselves, which is a really weird call.
I was
it's
reading.
Not like they can't voice. They do have voice acting abilities. They can sing after all, you know.
Yeah, and they have acting abilities. They're great in Hard Day's Night. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
They're excellent in that. I think Ringo, in an interview I was reading, I did a bit of research, he did say his biggest regret was not doing this. He really wanted to, but he didn't. They just couldn't. They didn't want to do because they felt like, I think a lot of them are self-conscious about their speaking voices as much as, you know, because they are singers obviously, so it's they can sing the songs and stuff, but to actually voice act and deliver lines comedically and stuff, you know, I think they just weren't too warm on the idea.
Yeah, it was obviously it was the most jarring between transitions where they were delivering just regular dialogue and actually singing the songs. It's because Paul McCartney's voice just completely changes. You know?
Yeah, the actual recording of the music is far higher quality than the voices of the film as well. It sounds completely different.
I think the reason the Ringo voice is the best is because he's the easiest to impersonate. Like the George Harrison one is so far off, it's hilarious. It's different person. It's not even like the other two, like Paul and John. You could go, yeah, okay, it's like a shitty impression, but George is just like, I'm like, who is this man? Who's this man they dragged off the street to voice George Harrison?
That's not a fiddle.
Can we just talk about the whole sequence? There's like a solid the whole jumping in and out of holes, which is very entertaining.
That really fucked with me.
And then he picks up the hole as like a piece of paper. It's so funny.
He starts fucking stepping through the hole.
genuine. Oh, it's just good.
So, what do we think? What is the symbolism behind the blue meanies, or is it literally like shitpost valley?
Shitpost.
A lot of this is shitpost, but I think there are glimpses of where they were trying to have go. Obviously, the blue meanies you could say are people who, like the old stodgy people who didn't like their new music and said, oh, you know, because they actually banned. I forget which song. Like they banned some songs like "A Day in the Life" and stuff for suicide imagery. Like the BBC wouldn't play them and stuff in the '60s, and they banned "Come Together" for saying Coca-Cola because it was advertising and stuff. So I think it's probably a mild shot at people who hated music and kind of stodgy. But yeah, you guys are right. Most of it is complete shitpost.
I think it's really funny actually how they just characterize. They don't do it in like a particularly nuanced way. They're just like, yeah, they're fucking like genocidal. Like people who don't like our music, like they just want to end everything happy.
I mean, John Lennon dropped the lyric "I am the walrus goo goo gajoob" as a genuine song lyric, and he wrote that, and then people were like, "What's it mean? What's it mean?"
When did this film come out?
And this is '68, so this would have been a year after Magical Mystery Tour and Sgt. Pepper's. So yeah.
I saw it as like the Blue Meanies would be like military heads.
Yeah, they could. Yeah,
like because obviously they did like protest music and stuff, didn't they? They're like quite big, like hippies don't want to do war. So I thought that was
big John as well. Obviously.
Yeah. So I thought the Blue Meanies were like, oh, they've got war, and the giant finger was like the fear of nukes or some shit. I think I might have been thinking too much into it because that is literally a flying blue glove that flicked people.
There was a lot of.
I think you could. I think it's a comparison. Yeah. That's definitely a comparison you can fucking draw. Like,
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
I also like the design of the meanie that's literally just a siren that spins its head because that freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah. That's horrible. I didn't think it was going to start spinning its fucking head. As soon as it started spinning its head, I was like, fucking course it's spinning its head.
It's so scary.
I really like
what
the
the
tall
fuck,
purple men
man?
that drop big green apples.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Excellent.
And then they all stack on top of each other, or the Beatles, and they like count from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like from 5 down to 1.
Oh god.
Just to batter mans along the way.
It's so good. Like, I mean, I had some issues with it. I think the last 20 minutes drags so hard that I've knocked a point off of my original score.
Oh, I can get that.
The last like as soon as like they fucking because they get to the point where they're in Sgt. Pepperland and they're like starting to like fend off the
that should have been like.
And then like it goes on for another 20 minutes because they have more music and they keep doing music and then Blue Meanies are kind of still there but nothing really happening and they just keep doing more. And it's just like, bro, like you literally they're at the point of defeat. Like it.
I completely agree with you, but I can't dock it in my opinion.
Yeah, okay.
Because I love Hey Bulldog as a song that goes on for like 5 minutes and you're like, get on with it. But I just love the song. So yeah, I do agree.
That last 20 minutes was like I started feeling a bit like fucking. I was like, how long can you fucking like just not actually have anything happen in the middle of something happening? Because literally they just cut into this climactic moment in the film where they're like destroying the fucking Blue Meanies and bringing like balance back to the fucking realm of the Pepperland or whatever, but then they just fucking stop that to do some music. And I'm like, okay, I get like you've got music in your fucking film, but if you're gonna have a narrative, don't fucking break that. Like, do it afterwards.
Can we just admire the original shit posters at the end? Use of it wouldn't be digital zoom, but it's just photos of them like zooming in and just flying about. It's pretty shit post. It's fantastic.
It's really good.
It's excellent.
There's a part really early on where like this like photorealistically like drawn woman, like it just like snap zooms into her face.
Oh yeah. Oh.
It's fucking. I'm still quite shook.
What shook me is the many bubbles of that man holding a watch.
I didn't get that. I was like, what the fuck?
Fantastic. I don't know what it is.
He wasn't even. It looked like he was mouthing along to the song lyrics, but he wasn't.
No, he was just gritting his teeth and then going back to normal.
Can we just real quick address when they're flying through the monster bit? They get the purple dinosaur that falls in.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like,
and they just say you're ugly.
Yeah, they go.
They drop it.
What is that? Ugly beast.
That's the last time we ever
Yeah.
That was straight savage. That was
They just
really,
fucking.
really...
They roast my mans and then they
You
drop
fucking had
him
it coming,
into like the ground.
Dropped him into the abyss after roasting him. It's so great. But I don't know. Do you want to move on to final ratings? If you guys got anything else to kind of discuss particularly?
No,
It's just
I
it's just
really liked
perfect.
it.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's right.
I really liked it.
I love the Beatles music. I love this film. And I love the Beatles. That's it. That's my piece.
I really appreciate that it has influenced Terry Gilliam obviously to do what he does with the animation and shit. And obviously, Holy Grail being my favourite film. Obviously, I kind of Holy Grail has a special place in my favourite film because, like, obviously, I don't think it really counts. If you know what I mean? Because, like, I don't love it for the same reasons that I love my other like favourite films like Whiplash or Children of Men. But it's so ascendant, and I feel like this film too, like you, Ben, is that sort of ascendant level of it's like the best thing ever. But
It's gold.
But it's like you couldn't like have it amongst your other favourite films in the same way. Like it has to be.
No, yeah, I completely agree. It's just
because you can't quite justify how much you love it. Apart
no,
from
I can't. I love
that
this.
you just do love it unconditionally.
It's just Kino. It is just pure.
It's fucking yeah. I can seriously imagine. You know, I can fully imagine this being sort of your Holy Grail in that sense. I guess
It is up there. My only complaint is that this was made before Abbey Road, which was one of their last albums, and it's my favourite Beatles album. So none of that shit is on there. Because I just wish they'd make something like that for Abbey Road. But no, I love a lot of the. Yeah, you've got an amalgamation of their last three or four albums. You've got Rubber Soul and their Revolver.
I was sitting there, I was hearing some of the songs. I was like, I recognise it's not all this came out on the fucking Yellow Submarine record. Otherwise, I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
there are a few original songs on there, which I really respect them because they could have just gone for the cash grab and done like an amalgamation of their stuff. But there's only a few big hits in there from other albums, and then most of it is new songwriting, which is really impressive considering how it was literally just for the film. It wasn't like a big album release either, and then they tied that into a film. They literally just wrote a film. So it's very impressive.
It's very good. And I wish sort of musical artists would do a bit more tie-ins. I mean, I'm just gonna call it out. Billie Eilish, if all your fucking song ideas come from fucking drawings, make a fucking film. Make an animation.
Yeah. I think her music videos are quite creative.
Yeah, no, but like, you know what I mean?
I do respect
If your songwriting comes from literally you drawing in a fucking sketchbook, right?
Yeah.
Instead of writing like an actual song, there's no excuse not.
I have not seen
shit like this. You know?
I've not seen it, but Donald Glover's Guava Island is a 50-minute kind of film slash.
I heard of that, but like it had him and Rihanna in it, and I was just kind of like, I don't like either of them.
Apparently, it is in that vein though of kind of like it's like a music film, but it's also quite weird, and then it ties in with. So again, I think it's the artists who are brave enough to do it have a go. But again, because the Beatles by this point, biggest thing on the planet, they could do what they wanted.
Listen, boys. When the Beatles next put in Nintendo Bohemian Rhapsody into their next album, I'm not interested. I'm not interested until then.
It's a good callback. All right, let's go down to final ratings because we didn't do final ratings last week, which was a bit of an oversight. So. Let's start with Tyler. Final ratings on the Beatles.
I reckon I rated it the lowest out of all of us. With a pretty solid 3.5 stars.
Oh, so that's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. Still relatively high.
Yeah,
it's just the pacing at the end kind of really ruined it. I was always like checking, how much longer is left because it feels like it's ending. But
yeah. It ends forever.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of a Wes Anderson film. Like instead of just ending too quick, it's just like you leaving yet? Luke, what do you rate it out of 10 or 5 stars and conversion?
I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10 as well. I think when it's great, but when it hits those lows, it's hitting those lows.
It slumps quite bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I was lying in bed watching this movie. I found myself. I think I nodded off in the last 20 minutes. I woke up to see like the actual end. Yeah. But I mean, like, I think I must have dozed off for like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like in the last last like 5 minutes. I did go on Dark Souls 3.
classic.
I was checking the runtime a few times.
So I was getting real tempted. So.
But I did enjoy myself, so.
Yeah, no, of course. This film is like nothing you'll ever fucking see. So.
Of course, it's the only thing.
That's
it's one of a kind.
I mean, the only thing I can connect it to is Monty Python animation segments and I guess Fantastic Planet. I haven't seen it.
I would actually say
I get that vibe.
Yeah.
the last act in Pink Floyd's The Wall is actually quite similar to some of this.
Yeah, where it starts getting like the like trial and stuff. Yeah,
it's a lot more weighty.
No, I do dig that.
Anyway, Ben, what do you say?
Oh, it's like Cats. It transcends rating. I can't rate it. It's just this, and it is Kino. I'd probably give it.
Oh no, yeah, Cats is very comparable.
I'd give it a 5 out of 5. It's just like just I love it. I think part of me does want to give it like a 9, purely out of like. There are a couple moments where I went again. The Beatles not voicing.
Just go with how you feel about it. Like
yeah, I love it to bits. So a 10. But again, I do. The only reason I give it a 9 is because the Beatles are obviously not voicing their own characters, and I do love hearing them. So it was a disappointment. But,
no, yeah.
Again, probably solid 5. You know, I love this film. it's so Kino.
So that's a 10 out of 10. On
I just love it. It's so good.
My score, it was literally, right, for the first hour and 10 minutes, before that last 20 minutes hit, it was a solid 8 out of 10. But I had to knock it down. I had to knock it down to 7 out of 10 because of that last 20 minutes. That fucking, I was just getting so like, I was like, I really want to love this like unconditionally, but I cannot power through this moment. it was too hard. The film had me on my knees within 20 minutes at the end.
I can dig that.
So that's why I'd give that a 7. It's hardcore. This film is actually a hardcore watch. I'm not gonna lie. It's the opposite of Come and See. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I think that's completely right. If there was a spectrum of film, all film, it would be Come and See at one end, and then it'd be Yellow Submarine at the other. That is the spectrum of film.
We need a film difficulty slider from.
So you've got Come and See, Gaspano's filmography, a Serbian film at one end.
Yeah.
And the other end you got Yellow Submarine, Fantastic Planet, stuff like. I'm trying to think what else is just goof.
Fucking weird shit. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I mean. So yeah. I mean, I believe, as we established earlier, I think it was before we were recording. I don't know. It might have been while we were recording.
I think it was before.
Okay, well, it's Tyler's recommendation for next week. Tyler,
yes, Tyler.
What are you thinking?
The album, so it's the first one.
Oh, album.
This Is Happening by LCD Sound System.
Ooh.
Do you know what? You beauty. I downloaded that the other day.
It's fucking peak.
I actually have an excuse.
Let's fucking go. Alright, I'm excited to do an album. It'll be really cool.
We can pick out key songs.
Favourite tracks and favourite lyrics.
How they come together as musical arrangements.
Yep.
I'm hyped. I like that.
Because obviously, well revered, named by multiple quite prolific people to be like top 10, in their top 5 actually.
It's got my second favourite song of all time on there.
Ooh, what's that?
Dance Yourself Clean. And my first favourite song of all time is also by LCD Sound System. So.
I've heard of Dance Yourself Clean. I haven't heard the song, but I've definitely heard people go, yes, big win.
It's mental.
Yeah, I will give that shit.
It played in the car when we went camping.
Yeah, no, so I probably have heard it.
But we haven't heard it. We haven't heard it properly.
Yeah. No, I do remember being impressed though. I did.
Lewis's Ford Fiesta on a very hot day. In a car where all of our bags were literally just covering the speakers. So yeah, I'm excited actually to do an album. It's a really nice branch out actually.
Yeah.
And I hope to. I mean, I've had an album waiting in the ranks because it's just so horrible. I don't want to undermine. No, please don't. I know what album it is. Please don't. It would be a midway discussion. We wouldn't do like a whole thing.
Go on, tease me the album, Joe. What is it?
I've already sent it to the chat. Like, I sent the fucking name of it to the chat so many times.
Hold on. Don't read it out.
No, I'm not gonna read it out because I don't want to spoil it for everyone.
Oh yeah.
It's evil. It's fucking evil.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But I kind of have to laugh at it at the same time because it's insane. But yeah, we'll talk about that another day. One day we'll come to it. It's kind of like that
It's
sort of
a
like
surprise.
it's like the end game boss, right? You know it's gonna come at some point, but you don't know. Yeah, you don't quite know where you're going. You know. So yeah, awesome. I reckon we'll